Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me? All right. So I do realize here in beautiful Goa that we have an exciting night planned, and I am the last plenary session between you, a much-needed break, you know, check the emails, you know, refresh a little bit before dinner, and then, of course, the exciting event tonight that our MC is gearing us up for. So, look, I'm extremely pleased to be here. You know, this journey with smarter commerce, it feels like we've been doing this for a long time, but in fact, it's only been a year and a half. So a year and a half ago, in early 2011, we geared up for a launch right around March, about March 14th to be exact. And boy, I'll tell you what a ride it's been for the last year and a half. You wouldn't have been able to, in any search engine, prior to March 14th, 2011, find smarter commerce anywhere. But in terms of the space that we're participating in, this dynamic smarter commerce marketplace that we're building, smarter marketing and other capabilities that are very, very closely aligned with smarter commerce, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get underway. You know, IBM has made a significant stake. And it's a conversation that's not just the current fad. It's not just the, you know, the launch du jour of the year, and then it becomes something else 2 years from now. There's a significant company-level, corporate-wide imperative to make smarter commerce grow. You know, and Josep earlier today talked about, you know, making markets and how we scale the markets. And you folks are all currently participating in that around smarter commerce in some way, shape, or form. I've had a number of discussions today, last night, and in many ways, with your unique value add, you're the ones that are helping us propel this marketplace. So I very much see this as the ongoing collaboration that was started a year and a half ago, and hopefully after today is only going to be a conversation about acceleration. So with that, you know, I want to tell you that last week, I'll have to do it this way. So last week, we just concluded our third global summit in Orlando, Florida. And we had another event, another global summit in Madrid a little earlier in the year in May. A year ago, we had our first ever global summit out in San Diego. And each of these events successively have been pretty much oversubscribed. In the largest two groups that we had, most appropriately, in all three of these events, and again, we hit a record in Orlando. We had almost 3,000 people there. And a year ago in San Diego, we thought we were doing pretty well, touching up against, you know, a little bit, you know, north of 1,900, almost touching up against 2,000. You know, the fact that people take a very important period of time, you're back from the summer break, it's back to school season, you're getting ready to gear up for, you know, the plan for next year and closing out the current year if you're on a calendar fiscal year. There's a lot going on. All these people took, including partners, took a lot of time out of their valuable schedule to come and spend 3 days with us during Labor Day week, which is you know, a holiday in the States. It's a real testament to what we've all done together. And within the Smarter Commerce 2012, we had a very lively business forum where a lot of our leading executives spent time with a lot of your colleagues in other firms and probably some people in this room to talk through our experiences and talk through the exciting programs that you're all focused on as we try to jointly grow this market we call smarter commerce. Now, this morning, you know, Josep and yesterday Esther had talked about this idea of growth markets. Josep added a little bit more texture in terms of the history of Smarter Planet and, you know, where we are today in terms of Ginny Rometty picking up the reins from where Sam Palmisano left off in our CEO change at the end of 2011. And it seems as though we are even going faster than we were before. I think the company was moving fast in a very uncertain market in Q4 of 2008 to do what we did and launch a major imperative that really reshaped the image of IBM to the marketplace of Smarter Planet. And it feels like in January of 2012, we even went faster in terms of some of the aspects of making these markets scale at a greater rate under Ginny's leadership. So, smarter commerce is one of those markets. And to put a little bit more texture into that, you know, in 2012, the category of smarter commerce, which is all of the services, software, and hardware that would be combined into that buying category as we estimated, as we do our forecasting, and we consistently tune our models around what the future is going to look like near, midterm, and longer term. It's $90 billion. It seems to be holding up at least through mid-year that number, you know, in our participation rate as a share is holding up. So everything is right where it should be. But the most important thing is that this market is extremely dynamic. 14% compound annual growth through the balance of our 5-year roadmap, which is the next 3 years to 2015. So by my math, that would mean that by 2015, this $90 billion market is really $133 plus billion market. And it's growing at 3 times the rate of overall IT, which really should be no surprise given the influence of non-IT buyers into this market, their participation in this market, their leadership in this market, and it's really all about the changes, the external forces of change, the consumer and customer environment, the role of technology. We're never going to turn back. You know, this is a whole new world order in line with what you saw in the video. You know, and part of the message in the Business Partner Forum, I just took this slide out of the Business Partner Forum. You know, we require partnerships in order to be successful. So, full stop, ladies and gentlemen. We will not deliver on the market expectation that IBM has for our participation in a $90 billion market and what could be 133 or better by 2015 without everybody in this room working very closely with us and all of the other partners in the extended ecosystem. And of course, it's a give to get. So there are many, many programs, many, many opportunities for enablement and dialogue and teaming and alignment. And we'll talk about some of that as our time together today unfolds. And some of the things we're doing, for example, a major move we made earlier this year was to take the fee out of classes subject to availability. So when we talk about whether it's self-guided, virtual, or classroom, instructor-led, no charge. And for a lot of our partners, in particular a lot of the smaller partners, maybe not so many of the folks in this room, that makes a big difference in terms of their budget and their own P&Ls. So look, as the slide says, we all know that this is all about empowered consumers. You know, they've got unlimited access. They know more information about a company's offers and products than what the marketers, product managers, R&D professionals, salespeople, whoever is in that enterprise bringing something to market, the chances are that whoever that is, the customers that are out there considering it, researching it, and talking to their friends on social networks know more about it than they do. That is an incredible shift in power. You know, my background is non-IT. I actually came out of the consumer goods industry. And I was a sales guy selling consumer products, food products into major retail operators. And I also did time in marketing. And I can remember when I was in brand management, managing a couple of big brands in Unilever in New York. You know, we used to sit there and look at our media plan, look at our advertising gross rating points, look at the flights that we were running, look at the consumer promotions, and then the trade budgets that we were leveraging with retailers. And we could pretty much forecast within a couple of points what the consumers were going to take off based upon all these programs, all the viewing of the commercials that we expected them to see because mass marketing was still working at that time. I don't want to date myself, but that was before Facebook, okay? So we pretty much could program consumers and really shape demand around certain kinds of promotions in elastic categories where the spikes would be very, very large, or seasonality where we would capture high interest in a particular category. I participated in a number of those and managed those programs. And every year, it's funny, history would repeat itself every year. That's not happening anymore. So consumers, faced with all the information that they have, all of the advice they get from their friends, social media, in-person, crowdsourcing, whatever you want to call it, through texting, through all these devices, basically they know that there are alternatives to pretty much every product range there is. So the whole idea of sustained loyalty is really different. And the innovations that companies are creating are really getting down to this notion of how I'm relating not only to segments of large portions of the population, if I break down demographics, and I want to market a certain set of offerings to young mothers under the age of 35 versus another offer to men 22 to 29 in healthcare or personal care products. It doesn't matter anymore that those are just large segments of people. The only segment that matters to anybody in this room who has a smartphone and researches products every day is a segment of one. What are you going to do for me? What is your offer going to mean to me? Now, you're going to consider certain categories more seriously than others. If you're going to buy a vehicle from Tata or another company, that's a considered purchase. You're going to lay out a few $100,000 rupees or whatever, and other than going into a store and comparing, let's say, shaving products or shampoo. But you have so many choices, and you have so much information that this whole idea of sustained loyalty around different categories and offerings, whether that's a churn issue in telco or choices you make as you research categories online during the holidays, gives companies a lot of opportunity to innovate. Now I'll tell you, going back in history, it's not that this is new because of all this technology and companies are so blown back in their seats that they're sort of trying to react to this whole notion of consumer power. Consumer power has been around for a long time. So why do I have this image of Play-Doh up? So Play-Doh had a very inauspicious start as a product. And I'm an old consumer goods guy, so I love old iconic brands. And came across this story of how Play-Doh got its start in Cincinnati, Ohio. Play-Doh is actually an industrial application sold by a cleaning products company in the 1920s into the 1930s. The application was simple. Most people heated their homes with coal. And wallpaper was really paper. It wasn't that nice vinyl or sort of the stuff that you can clean pretty easily today. So wallpaper was really paper, and soot was soot, and guess what? When soot gets on the wallpaper, it's hard to clean. So this compound did a great job cleaning soot. So along comes the Second World War, and then things are getting modernized around the country, and new houses are being built everywhere, and overnight, it seemed, coal heating went the way of the dinosaurs, and all the homes were heated either with gas or oil. So, and at the same time, the wallpaper providers were coming out with cleanable wallpaper that was easier to take care of. So I don't have much soot, and I got this nice wallpaper. I don't need to be buying this product anymore. So the company was on the brink of financial failure. And basically, the nephew of the founder of the company just happened to come across a classroom I think it was in Washington, D.C., of kindergartners that had stumbled on the product, the industrial product, and they were using it to make arts and crafts during Christmas time. And he got a little closer, and he understood that they were shaping things into different forms. And he had this idea that, wow, what if these kids are right, and this really could be a toy for the masses? So he goes back to the company, and they had to get the chemists together and figure out what's a safe compound. You don't want 3- or 4-year-olds to basically ingest industrial cleaning products, so they had to sort of make the ingredients safe for the kids, just in case they happen to put it near their mouth. And along comes Play-Doh as a brand new brand in the toy category. And from that moment, in 1956 or 7, when he sold his first order to a company, a retailer in Washington, D.C., to 1962, the company had moved from 0 sales to $3 million, and this is still an iconic brand today. So innovation is happening, and it's been happening for a long time. It's just the pace and the rate of it has to go faster. And the systems we have to set up, the listening systems to what the customers are telling us, have to be ever more tuned to what the real insight is based upon all the chatter that's going on, and how you take that into your business and either create new opportunities, new ranges of products, or realize that some of the things you're doing aren't really working and they have to change because you listened. And hopefully you get credit for making those changes by some of those customers. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of empowered customers. And we think the best way to do this is really to talk about some of our customers that have had a great experience with some of our smarter commerce solutions put into play. So a series of what-if questions. And if you think about it, we know that empowered customers are always going to be connected, and ever more so. So what if you could leverage consumer insights to increase sales? So S&S, it's a major Dutch bank. And within our enterprise marketing management portfolio, which is based on the Unica platform, one of the acquisitions, we allowed S&S to create an inbound marketing machine. Now, with this directed relevant offers at a rate of 4.5 million offers a week to their most valuable customers. So the horsepower of this, in comparison, they couldn't have done 4.5 million offers on their old technology with their old process in a year. So we're doing a year's worth of what they used to do in a week. And in the first year using this platform, they saw a 5% organic lift in sales volume for a very important savings product within their portfolio through this intelligent targeting. Kitty Care. Now, this is the largest online baby care business. It's a pure play baby care business up in the UK. And they felt like they weren't doing enough to make that connection with the brand new mothers and the mothers that were, with their babies a little bit, longer, and then toddlers, and then, going into nursery school. And it occurred to them that they needed to take insights and look at patterns of what kind of products get purchased from the mother of a newborn that's different from a mother of a 3-month-old, a 6-month-old, or a toddler. And because the system was able to give them a sense of what those purchase pattern shifts would be as the child grew, they were able to use the value of that basket type analysis and longitudinal views of all those purchases and target the offers based upon knowing, as the mothers came in and registered and identified themselves and were looking for offers, because every young mother is looking for promotions and looking to save money on all kinds of things for their kids. By doing that analysis and doing intelligent targeting, they increased their sales by 50% in the first year. And their average order went from 1.7 products to almost 3 products per order. So if you think about it, We know that we can capture insights. We know that there's an ability to intelligently capture insights to make useful suggestions to people in the context of their lifestyle. It's not pushing needless emails to the basket, which automatically goes into the junk file. It's really about assisting people in the way they want to live their lives. You know, and when you get personal with them, they'll reward you with business. So a couple of other companies have done this extremely well. One is Waycamp in the Netherlands. So this is that country's largest online retailers. And their marketers have successfully woven relevancy into every facet of their brand culture. So they've taken what the average marketer does through, you know, email and social and display advertising, online merchandising, and they've accelerated it literally 10x. Consumer loyalty and engagement in the way that they never thought was possible. So they did this by understanding each set of motivations and attributes of those motivations. So they collected the characteristics and the attributes of what motivates people in a certain sense of consideration and research in their shopping experience, and then built an intercept program to capitalize on that. And the results have been absolutely fantastic. Their marketing campaigns perform at a rate of 23% higher open rate than their standard promotions in a baseline run rate, 68% higher click-through rate, 67% lower opt-out rate, 271%, like the slide says, higher sales percent ratio. Fantastic results. So yeah, it's not quite Play-Doh, but these companies are tapping in to a new vein of innovation, and it's based upon an ongoing customer-based dialogue. They are starting to put themselves in a position to have the customer sitting more at the center of what they do as an enterprise. Another example is, we all know that companies have to collaborate, they must connect. And sometimes that's a survival statement, but at the very least it's a statement about transformation. So what if you could synchronize partners for a streamlined supply chain? So in the example of SMA, which is a almost 1.9 billion global leader in solar energy solutions. They're in 19 countries across 4 continents. They needed a way to have their wholesale distributor customers place orders and then view the availability of the ordered products through a web interface, giving their customers real-time visibility into manufacturing status and the staging of their particular products through their manufacturing cycle. They also embraced analytics around the buying patterns of the different mixes of products in their range. These are complex products. So therefore, you know, if something was falling off and they had sort of, you had lines dedicated to making it and the volume is falling off and this is complex stuff, they want to understand why, and if they had to sunset it and move to something else, they wanted to make sure that they cut off and moved it over. If they had a course correct for a different reason, there's a reason why the product wasn't moving, maybe price related, competitive. They keep the line going, but they change the marketing and sales and distribution focus, so they bring the volume back up. The Irish Dairy Board also, in the consumer goods and wholesaling segment, achieved some great results leveraging the B2B backbone provided by a company we acquired a few years ago called Sterling Commerce. So they have achieved total visibility to all of their downstream partners into their supply chain that's specific to the range of SKUs that they're ordering, meaning each distributor has a range of SKUs they're ordering from Irish Dairy Board. And guess what? All this stuff is perishable. And nobody wants to, you know, look at the smelly butter or the sour milk. They want to make sure it's fresh. They want to make sure it's clearly rotated as they move the stock out, and that the freshest product is being presented to the end users and the consumers. So, you know, all of this in aggregate, the examples that we talk about, in terms of some of these clients. We all want to succeed and improve performance. That's what you guys do. All of you do this in each of your businesses. So we, of course, say all these great attributes about putting the customer at the center of the business, anticipating and delivering across all the new touch points and communication capabilities, deep insights. You all know this. And you know that companies have to do these things to succeed and improve. And you also know, I think most of us here would understand, that leaders in different industries are doing new things to address the changes. So the supply chain needs to adapt to order patterns and consumption patterns that are being interrupted by changes and shifts in consumer behaviors, buying behaviors. Could be the macroeconomic climate, let's say. Could be shifts in the category and consumption. You need to understand, as most of you do, the companies are wrestling with this idea of personalization and one-to-one marketing, and that every CMO really understands that that brand recognition to that individual target consumer in the context of his or her lifestyle is extremely important. There's nothing more important than that. So we know that a lot of leaders are addressing those capabilities and are doing a lot of that with IBM. Selling. A lot of us here are very involved in multi-channel, omni-channel, and doing great work. And it's all about the seamless interactions on the path to purchase. So we all know that that's, the leadership around how you actually do that, manage all those interactions, from the awareness and the research to the blogging, the consumption of the crowdsourced data to influence your decision, to then the decision to go and either do start up a cart electronically, go to the catalog, start up a cart, and then say, I need to pick it up in the store. I need it today. I don't want to wait for it to ship in 2 days. And then service. Service kind of gets, in the industry at large, I think service kind of gets the short shift. We know inherently that people want to have an ongoing relationship with companies that they're doing business with and have made a lot of repeat purchases or have been loyal. And that could be a statement about automobiles, it could be a statement about food products, it could be a statement about, preferences in electronics. And that service after sale series of moments where there's interactions need to be done in the context of what that consumer has preferred, what they've bought in the past, and understanding that and presenting that to whether it's a set of email exchanges or it's a call center exchange. And it's got to be intelligent and it's got to be a pleasure. It can't be, oh my God, I called up for service, I was on hold, I'm trying to get a part for this Blu-ray player, and I'm going to just give up and throw this thing out. I'm so dissatisfied. It happens all the time. So service sounds simple, but in execution it's really, really hard. So we call the path forward smarter commerce. The video talked about the 4 domain areas of buy, market, sell, serve. We've been at this for a while, so I don't think I'm going to go through this with a lot of detail. But I will say that smarter commerce is really about new buyers. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is really where you come in. Because we need help. We need a lot of help to get to those new economic buyers. The CMO, the Chief Procurement Officer, the VP of e-commerce, or the head of sales, the head of merchandising, the VP of customer loyalty, and there's a number of other titles that are not on this chart. But whether you believe in some of the reports like Forrester, which says 65% of technology spending does not have any influence from IT at all, or earlier this year, somebody from Gartner wrote a very provocative story that forecasted that by 2017, marketing-influenced technology spending would exceed what gets spent by CIOs collectively. This is a new opportunity for all of us. And we all have to get out of our comfort zones. We all have to get out of that great relationship we have with somebody in the IT group or the CIO or the CTO who by himself has a budget that's extraordinarily constrained, very, very slow growing, and we're fighting to maintain wallet share. So I would suggest to you in your plans and your strategies that you start to think about how we raise the game, us together, how we raise the game and we start to have relevant conversations with some of the key influencers that are also turning into buyers. And they might be doing this in partnership with IT and they might be on their own, but we need to be having that conversation with them. We hope that the conversation can be collaborative between the non-IT C-levels and obviously our CIO and CTO, because quite frankly, there's so many interdependencies that we see as opportunities for enterprises to get much more efficient and much more effective. We can take expense down. There's still opportunities to take expense down. But there's a lot more opportunity out there to grow, to help the clients achieve growth objectives. You know, basically, if you look at all the industry press that's out there right now, collectively, what I'm sensing, and I don't know about you, is we've squeezed a lot out of the experience of putting in a lot of efficient systems, ERPs, edge systems, a lot of applications to really renovate and upgrade our systems of record. And then we hit 2008, 2009, we had the downturn. And now we've come out the back end. We're pretty lean, we're pretty efficient. Our balance sheet is reasonably healthy, but our growth rate is slower than we want. So we've got to start growing faster. So you're seeing, I think, more of a pendulum swing preference to help me grow. Don't just help me save a few bucks. I know you can do that, but help me grow. What can you do to help me grow? And the statements are from those C-levels on the previous chart. And the CIOs, the progressive ones, are right there with them, saying, okay, let's talk about how technology, as applied through the solutions, can help us grow. And we know that that can be done. We have literally hundreds of case studies that we've documented in IBM, many done with you guys from a services perspective, and some of your peers in other firms. So we know that there is a case for growth to be made. It's just how do we scale it? How do we do it faster? And because it's all those different departments and organizations in the company, we know that we can synchronize the value chain if all of this starts happening at the same time. So we know we can affect adaptive procurement. We know we can help marketers manage their interactions with their most valuable consumers in a more effective way. We know we can do guided selling in a multi-channel construct to drive incremental sales. We know we can improve loyalty through a better experience. So inherently, we know these things. And the realization is really what smarter commerce is all about. So the realization, getting back to where I started in the talk, is that IBM took a big bet in this market. It is one of those key markets that Josep talked about in terms of making it and scaling it. And we've collectively, just in the smarter commerce space, not including some of the other acquisitions where we've brought assets into smarter commerce, like capabilities from Cognos and SPSS, for example, based upon prior acquisitions. Over the last 3 years alone, we've spent over $3.5 billion to build out this portfolio that we call smarter commerce. So you see several of the names there. You know that we took a big bet with Sterling Commerce in 2010. That really filled out the fulfillment side of what we call the selling and fulfillment portfolio within our commerce and B2B side of smarter commerce. On the marketing side, or what we call enterprise marketing management, we took a big bet with Unica. And of course, from an analytics and data perspective, we bought Coremetrics. And from an insights perspective, we've now gone into some complementary capabilities with T-Leaf, and I'll address those very quickly. So these were the newest capabilities most recently in the year of 2012. The latter stages of some of those acquisitions that I mentioned, totaling $3.5 billion. So Mturas, a clear leader in sourcing, procurement, contracts management. T-Leaf, a leader, as I mentioned just a minute ago, T-Leaf is a leader in customer experience management. It's very complementary to the clickstream data and all of the reporting capabilities through Coremetrics, because it gets into session replay and on an individual consumer level, where are the breakages, as Josep was talking about, that front-end experience of a bank as they're trying to acquire a new customer, and the 45 seconds between clicks for them to make a decision or basically go off and do something else, or go to a competitor. T-Leaf helps companies figure out where the breakages are, where the improvements are in those experiences that will lead to the changes that will be needed in the online environment for a better experience, a better way for the consumer or the prospect to get to their answer, so that we can drive the business. And Demand Tech is a leader in merchandising analytics, price optimization, promotional management. Demand Tech is not, many people in this room may not know, Demand Tech is really about how we measure velocity, pricing, elasticity, promotions, responses, assortments in the store. From Demand Tech. I'm going to skip these in the interest of time. Mobile and social everywhere, really important for us. So you know that we're involved in this because you know that we talk about mobile development toolkits, and we have an embedded mobile set of capabilities in the Smarter Commerce portfolio. Most notably, those tied to the customer interaction platform, which is ostensibly Webster Commerce. So we have a large commitment to mobile. I wanted to take just a quick minute on this notion of social and go back to what Esther was talking about yesterday in terms of some of these studies, like the CEO study. So the CEOs, they look at the interactions, and they're looking at all of the information. And in the study, we asked them questions about how they want to engage customers, how they do it today versus what their intention in the future. And it's very interesting. Traditional media, which is all of the TV spending, print, radio, all the traditional media, outdoor, airport, all of that, in 3 to 5 years is going to be less than half the spending level that it is today. And social media is basically going to skyrocket in importance. So there's a recognition, despite the rumors that Facebook is going to collapse because their IPO didn't go out exactly the way they wanted, despite the rumors, these new media, social networks as a new media, they're here to stay. And CEOs, they themselves say, not just their heads of marketing or the CMO, they themselves say that they want to understand individual customer needs at a very, very high level. And they want their organizations to improve response time, agility to those market needs. Really, really important that the CEOs themselves are making these statements. They're becoming stakeholders in this notion of one-to-one. CMOs, they feel unprepared to manage so many key changes in marketing that are occurring based upon consumer power. Most notably, data explosion, social media, growth of channel and device choices, these are the top 3 in this particular chart. They're signaling, I need help. And technology is going to be a big part of what I do. Automation around analytical patterns that I need to take the data explosion and run it through a new analytical set of capabilities and come out with the right answers, the right recommendations. At the speed of decisions, I need analytics in real time. I need to understand unstructured data patterns that are resonant within social media conversations going on about my brand, about my competitors, about the category. I need to harness those insights and manage that together with the structured data that is also getting much larger. CMOs also believe that ROI on marketing spend is going to determine their success. So this particular chart talks about the 7 most important measures to gauge marketing success. You know, customer experience is up there. Conversation, new customers, conversion rates, new customers, so that's acquisition. That's really good. Overall sales. The single largest metric that they worry about, and ladies and gentlemen, this is becoming a board-level conversation. CMOs used to be a role in many companies and many industries. It was kind of like the revolving door. We put somebody in charge of marketing. They manage some agency relationships. And, you know, there's a portfolio of spending, but it's pretty much, you know, it's sort of under control. Now we have to do so many different things to activate our target audiences within the markets and to do the one-to-one targeting and personalization. And there's a lot of technology investment. So the leaders and the board level folks of these organizations are turning to the chief marketing officer and saying 2 things. Number 1, I put you in this job not because I'm going to take you out and make you the CFO next year, because this is just part of your grooming. I'm putting you in this job because you are the face of our brand to our audience and to our customers. And you're going to be that face for a reasonable period of time, for years. And if you do well, you're going to be well compensated. That's pretty good. Number 2, they said, okay, now you feel good about that? I'm going to hold you personally responsible for a return on marketing investment. So that's why you see, self-reported through the survey we did with CMOs in 2011, marketing ROI is really important. So take all of the fractionated, all of the different kinds of media and activation opportunities that we have, because people's choice of how they consume messages is so different now than it used to be. Mass media is really kind of a dead art. And it's all about the small screen, a little bit bigger screen on the tablet, a little bit of time on television, maybe watching sports, and then I'm off doing something else. Maybe I'm driving in the car and I hear something on the radio. But it's all of those things in aggregate that they have to figure out, how much money do I put into Facebook and Twitter versus what I put into the television flighting I've been doing. So I'm going to shift gears because we're getting down on time. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the sales model that's in place for smarter commerce. You know, Esther had a chart up that talked about the firewall, and it talked about the CSI partner side on the right side, and then the rest of IBM on the left side. So I actually functionally sit on the left side in the Smarter Commerce Worldwide organization, which is part of what's called an SCI. SCI is a sales execution initiative. So it's one of these critical imperatives that our president and CEO cares a lot about, Ginny Rometty. And in her former job as head of marketing and sales, SCI was really sort of innovated on her watch. So she's carried it forward in her new job and cares about it a lot. So the thing I wanted to get out of this for you is we are starting to build out some great capability At the top of the pyramid, we have a set of people that are in the different geographies in a deployment plan of about 75. It's going to increase in 2013. But these are the innovators. These are the solution sellers that are out there with a point of view and position on smarter commerce, working with the sales teams and increasingly working with our partner teams to bring that conversation around discovery and new opportunities and accelerating a sales cycle, bringing that to fruition for incremental return, incremental revenue. Now, there's another group right underneath that, which is the mainline product and pillar sales teams in aggregate across, let's say, the B2B commerce portfolio and the EMM portfolio is about almost 1,100 people, let's say. And they're still going to be doing a lot of the things that they do at a product level. And they will support what we're calling pursuit teams. They're going to be led by people at the top. I'll give you a little bit more flavor for that. We have this thing called a unified sales process. So we're going to harden a set of processes around sequencing sales and technical sales accelerators based upon best practice, thought leadership, etc. So what do I mean by that? Well, one of the things that's going to do to help us, and by the way, the process underneath here is called the client value method. This is IBM's formal sales engagement process. If you take client value method and you start to move conversations to customers in a provocative way, you get sales cycles done perhaps quicker than you did before because you've got your best people on the case earlier in the cycle. So provocative selling, some people call it power selling. We're taking this position in the Smarter Commerce team to pull the rest of IBM, the rest of the software sales teams in industry solutions, that population of 1,100, the broader population of IBM sellers, whether it be in the channels and with the GSIs or with our direct sales force in sales and distribution, pulling everybody else along with it. And what are the examples of things we're going to be doing? So we're going to be putting together pursuit teams in each of the geographies. And we're going to align them based upon the amount of business we're going to be doing in each of the major sectors. So off the bat, you know, we will have a pursuit team for retail and consumer goods. We'll have a pursuit team for communications and media. We'll have a pursuit team for FSS with a focus, I should say, on banking and insurance, et cetera, et cetera. The solution architects. We haven't done a good job up until this time to take the solution architect profession and really certify some black belts for smarter commerce in a pre-sales sense. So we're going to address that, and that's where the most dramatic increase that we'll have in our headcount and our deployment model will be in fourth quarter and into next year. In Europe and US alone, we've taken a decision to put, I think it's somewhere between 13 and 15 people in new jobs as part of that top pillar team, the Smarter Commerce sellers. And we're bringing them all together and doing a very, very in-depth, intense enablement in early October in Chicago, both the European guys and the US guys. We'll get our act together with that competency, and then we'll bring it out to the partners and figure out how we can get some of that enablement to solution architects in your firms as well. The other examples on the bottom right, lab briefings, customer references, case studies, videos. We have tons of this material. We have a roadmap blueprint workshop. It's a whole methodology around discovery and around how a customer prioritizes. We have business value assessments and a reference architecture. And very quickly, I'll just tell you, the reference architecture work is fantastic. So basically, we start off, I went too fast, we start off with Smarter Commerce defined at kind of a big block level, at a layers level. So customer interaction at the top, foundation that includes all of the connectivity, data management, analytics, and then in between are the functional areas where the portfolio of applications and tools, B2B, SaaS, on-premise, all of that kind of sits in the middle in large categories like procurement and sourcing, customer awareness, and analytics. And then when we drill in, each of the functional components is identified within each of those areas. And the whole idea is, and the SAs, the solution architects are going to be really key to this. The whole idea of this is we take the reference architecture becomes the nexus, the connective tissue between a set of business views and business imperatives. Either the customer has it on his own, or we came in and helped him with a workshop or a roadmap to diagram where his low-hanging fruit is and what time series events that he can do and absorb change at what pace, in what parts of different processes that he's focused on. And then you translate that through the reference architecture to the technical assets and views around how it's going to get implemented. And there are things that we can do from a pre-sales perspective, leveraging the reference architecture assets into detailed solution descriptions, customized demo scenarios. You do some of this yourselves. We all do some of this. We're trying to put some structure and some normalization around how we do it. We also have a team of business value assessment consultants, still part of that, as I said, that Smarter Commerce dedicated team. And what they're doing is they're starting to benchmark projects over time, and they're seeing patterns of where clients are spending and investing to upgrade capabilities, processes, and a lot of the technology, software technology. And so we're harvesting those patterns, and we're saying to IBM and our partner community, there's a new mix of delivery skills. So whether it's something like on the left where Webster Commerce needs to come together with Sterling Order Management, so you've got seamless order capture all the way through fulfillment, settlement, and fulfillment, along with the Sterling B2B suite, you take all these things together, integrated seamlessly, and there's delta value to what clients could do for themselves by picking piece parts or trying to do best of breed. Doing it this way, they'll get to the answer and the ROI. They'll get to the answer faster and also the ROI with more agility and a better result. So that's one example of patterns. This is another example of patterns. So in the interest of time, I'm going to go by this. Cloud, we've heard a lot about it. We know it's important. The thing I wanted to get across, just last week at the Smarter Commerce Summit in Orlando, in the Business Partner Forum, we announced a new program. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doubling down on the different kinds of options that you can take advantage of with IBM to play in platform as a service world, software as a service world, business process as a service world. We have way too many business partners that have come to us saying, I'm ready to innovate, and I have clients that want to have a flexible OpEx way to consume solutions. I think your stuff is pretty good, but I have some constraints and I have some concerns over how we're going to do that. Because I think I can offer distinctive IP, I can offer some managed service, but I need IBM to go faster. So we heard our partners loud and clear, and obviously our partners reflect the market. So we've heard the market loud and clear. So there's going to be more information provided by your reps about what this means. There's a lot of details underneath this. So stay tuned, ask questions, and get involved in these new programs on SaaS, Platform as a Service, and Business Process as a Service. Also, no charge education extended for several parts of this as you need it. What I'll leave you with now is just the ABCs of partnering. So it begins with account planning and teaming. So it's identifying and aligning the existing assets and sales tools, connecting the talent, IBM talent with your talent, if we're co-selling, for example. Connect those people early in the cycle. Good old-fashioned territory management. Decide the targets, decide the industries, decide the unique IP or point of view based selling you want to do to help us and to help our sellers if you're selling with us together, and engage your unique skills. And we have things like Proposal Factory, Solution Delivery Connect. These are programs that are in Partner World. Spend time and read up on them. We do deal clinics to figure out how we progress opportunities faster. Promote line of business selling. We talked about that before. The only thing I want to say here is there are a number of plays listed underneath. These 5 plays, they're out there in Partner World. The information is pretty deep on each one of these plays. So it's intended to be an entry solution into smarter commerce. An entry-level solution, because smarter commerce is not this monolithic thing. We're not doing R3 for the consumer front end, for the customer experience front end of any enterprise. This is basically where, where a customer may have a challenge or a pain point where you have alignment based on your knowledge of one of these solutions to say, I can get this in and start delivering value for you in 11, 12 weeks, 10 weeks in some cases. Client and industry domain experience and expertise. So basically this goes back to that $90 billion opportunity in 2012. You all pretty much go to market through industry vertical teams that you support. Some of you here are more horizontal. Some of you here are more sitting in the industry verticals. But pick your industry and process area expertise and the offerings you want to work with us on, and let's dialogue that, and let's go make these offers, and let's do the territory management and get them into the marketplace. So the very last thing I'll leave you with is, let's do the account planning. Let's figure out how to close 2012 strong. Many of you have some great opportunities in the pipeline with good visibility into IBM, good partnering. Some of you probably would like to do more with us. And if we haven't done it up until now, let's fix that and do more and do it faster. And obviously, let's get a really strong start in planning for 2013. Let's leverage enablement and pre-sales assets, and we'll do a better job with some of these new assets that we're just coming out with from the Smarter Commerce team to bring that over to the partner side and the GSI side, and benefit from all the channel programs that are available to you. The sales plays, the different events, your market development campaigns that you're working on together, the new business models like SaaS. And with that, I'm over time, and I will say thank you.